For the past 6 months, I've been on a mission to completely decouple myself from the Apple ecosystem. I finally traded decades of Mac for a custom Linux PC, and frankly, I couldn't be happier. I've even replaced console gaming with Steam on Linux. But while the transition to the desktop was a dream, the switch from iPhone to Android was a rude awakening. You would think that Android pairs better with Linux, but surprisingly, I found my workflow was actually smoother on the iPhone. I need to stress that I am a digital minimalist. I don't clutter my phone with apps. I use maybe 20 total. I don't clutter the cloud with files. I delete things as I'm done with them. I don't even have a hoard of photos like many people. I keep a small greatest hits album of my family on my phone and then dump everything else onto hard drives once a year. Because my digital footprint is so small, self hosting never really made sense for me. And while I've flirted with privacy focused custom ROMs like Graphene OS, I even tried it on the Pixel 10 Pro, it ultimately wasn't for me. The app sandboxing broke my flow, and I realized I didn't want to be forced into buying Pixel phones forever just to run my OS. I need to be clear. I love Android. If I lived outside of the US, I'd probably be using a high end Oppo or Xiaomi right now, but due to the US limitations, my choices are really narrowed down to the usual suspects Samsung, Google, and nothing. I spent 6 months enjoying the versatility of these phones, culminating in a setup featuring the Pixel 10 Pro and the Pixel Watch 4. It worked perfectly for my Linux workflow, and RCS handled the communication gap with friends and family who were on iPhone without any issues. It felt like the right choice. However, the momentum shifted the moment the iPhone 17 lineup and specifically the Air hit the shelves. I picked up both the 17 Pro Max and the Air to compare, and it wasn't even close. I fell in love with the Air instantly. On paper, it has compromises, but in practice, they don't really matter. The single front facing speaker is crystal clear and plenty loud, and the single camera lens handles my daily needs just fine. While I admit I wouldn't say no to an ultra wide or a zoom lens, this setup works. The real winner here is the build quality. It's not just the thinness, reminiscent of the Galaxy Edge, but the materials. The Air's titanium finish actually feels more premium than the aluminum design Apple went with on the 17 Pro this year. It gives me serious iPhone 10 vibes, and I'm here for it. Between the battery ending every day at 30% and that fluid 120 hertz display making shows like Pluribus look incredible, this is easily the most enjoyable device I've used in years. The pull was so strong that I actually fought it. I returned my first unit, convincing myself that I need to stay on Android for the Linux synergy, but I couldn't stop thinking about it. I ended up caving, bought a second Air, and I've been using it as my main device for the last few weeks. Technically, the walled garden isn't as high as people think. Tools like Local Send and KDE Connect bridge the file sharing gap perfectly, and UX Play, for example, allows for a surprisingly good iPhone mirroring experience on Linux via AirPlay from the iPhone. However, I found myself bypassing these tools entirely. For me, the smoothest workflow was simply using the web. With passkeys logging into the web versions of Apple TV or iCloud, it's seamless. It's secure, it's native, and it gets me to my files and media faster than managing a connection between devices. I'll admit, I do miss the ability to text from the web that Android offers, but realistically, my phone is always right next to me anyways. The bigger factor is simply the path of least resistance. My wife, my 4 kids, and almost all my friends and family are on iPhones. Being the odd one out just adds friction. From a financial standpoint, it also started to feel wasteful. I'm already paying for Apple One for the family. Using an Android phone meant using Apple Music on the Android phone, or worse, paying double for things like Fitbit Premium or Google One when I'm already paying for the Apple equivalents. And then there's the watch. While the Pixel Watch is the closest Android has ever come to a true competitor, sorry Samsung fans, I've never liked the Galaxy Watches from the first gen to the most recent. I've tried them all. Anywho, the Apple Watch is still supreme, especially for health tracking. That hardware dominance was a massive draw, pulling me back as well. Overall, I want to be clear. I still love Android, and knowing me, someone who hops Linux distros like it's a sport, you can bet I'll be switching again. I really feel hopeful that in 2026, we'll see some more devices that bring some new Android hardware that not only pulls me back, but is compelling enough to hopefully keep me longer than 6 months. But now I want to hear from you. If you're running Linux, what is in your pocket? Are you rocking an Android or an iPhone? Have you thought about making the switch in 2026, or is there something specific stopping you? Let me know your experience in the comments down below. I look forward to the discussion, and as always, thank you for watching. Take care and stay safe.